Can a person change another person's life? I don't know. Hi guys, this is my first YouTube video. Not that I haven't tried before, believe me, that is not the case, but this time I think I actually uploaded. I hope. But it is to say that I'm still a bit camera shy, still a little crusty at editing. But alas, what I have to say is most important and aggressive. Cause, bro, what the frick is going on? What the frick is going on in this world? So let me take you through my internal monologue, because I can't keep it inside anymore. I will explode. Okay, but let's get to it. So the statement A, changing B's life, has always been looked at in a positive light, but in this modern world where there is literal documented proof of people in different parts of the world suffering, and all the governments, the big corporations, the big names suddenly being so powerless to help them or choosing to openly stand against it really begs the question, can a person change another person's life in a negative way? And well, let me prove to you that what shouldn't be the case is exactly what is happening in front of our eyes. But first, let's put a positive spin on it. First, the ground rules. Let me just figure out how to put this on slideshow. Yep, there we go. Okay. Rule 1. Can a person change another person's life? I'm going to be so sick of this question just by saying it again and again. And by a person, I mean two strangers, not the people close to you, not your loved ones, because that's too easy. Because obviously they change your life and they do it every day by loving you and by being in your life. So, none of that. These are the people that you cross paths with only in the social confines of the society. So, your neighbor or your classmate or teacher or co-worker, right? Rule 2. By changing someone's life, I mean completely turning it around 360 degrees and changing the trajectory of your life. Your life is severely impacted by this change, so much so that you're not the same person anymore. You're a new guy. But between you and me, I would like to say that when I first thought about this question, my answer to it was no. I thought yes, someone can inspire you in a big way or impact you to go to school or go on some kind of adventure or start a business. But in a positive way, I don't think a person can change your life unless it is for you wanting to change yourself. What I mean to say is there is always this idea of change in people, and all they need is some kind of help or push, and that can definitely come from outside. I think in most cases it does come from the outside. Like, I can think of 100 examples where I have been inspired by a YouTube video or a seminar or a film or a person's speech, right? But now let's reference a book and a movie to see how can a person actually change a person's life in a positive way. Now, there is a book called Tuesdays with Morrie, and I think this book is a great example of how a stranger heavily inspires the protagonist of the book in his early school days, that he returns back to Morrie in his final days to pay him a visit. If you haven't read the book, I have prepared a lovely summary for you. It's basically about this teacher named Morrie and a student named Mitch. Morrie was Mitch's professor, and they would interact after class. He'd give him life lessons, and when Mitch graduated, he moved away. One day, he finds him on his TV screen because he was being interviewed for being so hopeful and happy for a person who's about to die. And Mitch goes back to, oh my god, how long is this? And Mitch goes back to visit Morrie, and they chat on all their meetings until Morrie's demise. But even in that limited time, Morrie helped Mitch realize that the fast-paced, hectic life he was living was not what he wanted for himself, and he decides to change that. What a great story! Oh my god. So, what's the verdict? Sure, change life. Yeah. But I don't think this book is about a guy changing someone else's life. In my opinion, this book was written to honor this great person like Morrie. We definitely witnessed the impact that Morrie had on Mitch's life, both growing up and at last in his deathbed. But if you'd ask me, the lessons that Maury gave and the changes that Mitch made in his life were not just influenced by Maury's lessons, but also by the depth of the relationship that they both shared and what it evolved into, especially after Maury's death. Okay, let's move on. Next up, I have this Bollywood movie called Ashiki 2. I have not thought about this movie since it came out back in 2013, and I only had to watch it because my sister was really into it. But yeah, this is a romance movie. This movie follows a popular, talented musician who is also an alcoholic, who's a guy, and the girl who is poor and a singer. She's also a very gifted singer. And one day this guy went to a bar and he noticed the girl. She was singing. He obviously fell in love with her first and then noticed her voice, but he ended up giving her a chance in the music industry and she makes it big time. She actually becomes a bigger star than the guy, and then the guy proceeds to kill himself because how his woman be more successful than him? That was unspeakable. Actually, that's not true. It actually goes into like addiction and lot of other emotional things that I know nothing about. But yeah, the guy kind of changed her life, right?
Oh, I don't want to say it.
Right?
See, I think you're tricking
Right,
me.
guys?
Okay, yeah, what the heck? Yes.
No!
I knew it.
I mean, I think the guy changed her life by loving her. Like, he impacted her life less by giving her a chance in the music industry, because ultimately it was the girl who took that opportunity and sang well and made a name for herself, but he impacted her life more by loving her. Okay, enough of Miss Positivity and Sunshine. Let's talk about the reason why I'm really here, and that is, can a person change another person's life in a negative way? What do you think? What do you think? Sadly, yes, and it's evident all over the internet and the media in general how so many people are being subjected to genocide or are being displaced from their homes or are just denied their basic human rights, be it in the name of law, religion, or protection of interests of a community of people that don't really need protection. It always somehow ends up being of benefit to a group of rich, accomplished, powerful guys that were already very rich, accomplished, and powerful. But I have some fun facts for you. Let's read them, shall we? Did you know that the war in Gaza has been going on since October 2023, and even after executing a ceasefire treaty, the state of continues to bomb them? And did you know that the Supreme Court of India gave orders for the cutting of a very ancient hill range called Aravali Hills, the name of which roughly translates to line of peaks, meaning hills, but the court said if it ain't more than 100 meters in height, we're cutting it. To legalize the mining that they've allowed their favorite companies to do for years. Just taking a legal route now.
Now, I like to clear that the Supreme Court has put a stay on their original order that had all the measurements, and they plan to examine the ecological impact of this move through a new committee and then make a final decision. And that is good news, but then there were videos of illegal mining activities in that area circulating online. And not to mention, all of this directly involves all the civilians living in that area, all the shop vendors, and the small businesses that have no choice but to live through the consequences of this drama.
And did you know that the air pollution in India has gotten so bad, but especially in Delhi, that the government has done nothing about it? And the water pollution in Delhi got so bad at one point that the government had to spray some chemical to give the illusion that the Yamuna River has been cleaned instead of actually cleaning it, because that would have taken a long time and maybe like money. And did you know that Sudan is going through a humanitarian crisis and a genocide where the RSF continues to take non-Arabs people's lives, and even after having South Africa's biggest gold reserves, the country is left with nothing but exploited natural resources and extreme amount of unemployment, poverty, and scarcity of things like food and water. Did you know that Did you know that under the Trump administration, the cursed operation of ICE continues to hurt innocent immigrants in the name of law enforcement? I'm not going to lie to you. To me, it looks a lot like racism. Because, like, what is your problem with innocent people following the rules, going to their hearings, not the criminals, but the civilians, trying to live peacefully in your country? But I don't mean to manipulate your image of people helping each other out or inspiring each other, because that's what humanity is. That's how the world came about. Because what is a human being without another human being? A sad story? A story that cannot continue? A guy stuck on an island? People make music, people make magic, they make stories, they make history, they make art, they make movies, they write books. People make people. There is no world without people. It's just a planet with a bunch of trees and animals. Actually, that'd be kind of sick. Just a couple of cows eating their grass with no one trying to turn them into a burger. That'd be sick. I'd pay to watch that movie. But then among people comes a feeling to accomplish. Great. A feeling to acquire. Sure. A feeling to win. What? A feeling to become the most powerful, the most rich, a billionaire. And I'm sure these people don't directly mean harm to the common man, but if becoming a billionaire comes at the expense of the rest of the world who cannot afford to buy a spaceship to move to a different planet, what can a mediocre white guy with a lot of money do? But as we all know, all things must come to an end, and one day the reign of these rich mofos will also end. But it's not the end of one guy that we want. What we want is the end of this movement where one guy after another with his hideous blood-sucking money-hungry face fights a like guy with a different kind of hideous blood-sucking money-hungry face for more power and land to their names. I mean, guys, why are we taking life so seriously? None of us are making it out alive.